chosen one. Leaders have come and gone from nations. Deeds have been signed by kings. Cameras have shook hands with presidents. Parliaments have yelled and cast ballots. However, the script was broken. The mundane political drama was penetrated by something. For the first time, a man who was well known around the globe for his combative nature, directness, and unwillingness to kneel stood for prophecy rather than party, profit, or power. The world does not anticipate the type of conflict that Donald J. Trump proclaimed. This was not a conflict about territory, or even prestige. It was an older, more profound thing. A battle waged with pronouncements and headlines that bear the weight of heaven rather than rockets or tanks. A conflict about destiny rather than boundaries. A conflict that is enshrined in religion rather than military briefs. This isn't theater, it's alignment. The room did not contain you, but for you, the room moved. You weren't standing at the podium, but over your future. The words were spoken. The cameras started rolling. Sound was recorded by the mix. What they really captured, however, was prophecy piercing the political cacophony. In a hall intended for men, it was the murmur of paradise. Public domain, some 1839. You give me the strength to fight. Before me, you humble my enemies. Selected one, you are armed, according to heaven, and the trumpet has been sounded by the most unlikely of boats. Politics is not at issue here. It has to do with safety. It has nothing to do with popularity. It has to do with prophecy. You have been informed that the war has been declared. Imagine the situation. The air was heavy. The lights were dazzling. The cameras were clicking like war drums. The platform was high, covered in flags, and the aides were leaning in and whispering things they could not say out loud, awaiting the customary sound bites, politics, posturing, and promises that fade as fast as applause. The crowd waits, then it occurs. However, like the silence before a thunderclap, there is a quiet. His mouth clenched. He holds the microphone and speaks in a way that no strategist ever penned. No pollster made a prediction. This is for the selected individual. The hall echoes with gasps. The atmosphere shifts. The room is filled by an unseen presence. It is a presence rather than a platform or a policy. What was supposed to be just another speech becomes a divine call. There is a larger movement at work underneath the political fog. Neither Democrat nor Republican. Destiny, not dogma or agenda. Leaders' utterances were bent into the language of prophecy by a stream that flowed through history. Feel it, the clash of worlds. Angels lean forward, cameras blazing, while heaven writes headlines. Commentators scramble. What some people see as a contentious assertion, heaven is marked as a covenant. What is considered rhetoric by the outside world? From a political perspective, the spirit emerges as a call to action. It seems careless. It is revelation when seen through the prism of prophecy. This isn't about one man's words, chosen one. It is about heaven intertwining itself with your future. It was more than simply a sound speech. It was a sigh. unknowingly repeating an edict older than empires. The instrument behind the podium was more than just a president. The stage was turned into an altar. The hall turned into a battlefield. Furthermore, protection rather than policy was announced. Alignment, not ambition. Destiny, not division. Scripture states that the Lord guides monarchs' hearts like a stream of water. And this is what it implies. It is not the wool of flesh and blood, what you saw or will hear reverberating in the news. It is the passage of eternity via human lips, even though they may believe they are only posing. Presidents are really making predictions. Therefore, selected one, don't take this as news or noise. See it as heaven exposing its plan to use even the most unlikely means to proclaim in front of countries that your prophecy is true and that heaven has equipped you for the next conflicts. Select one. Take a moment and keep in mind that this is not about a guy initiating hostilities. This is about heaven working through human beings to connect even the strongest wills with prophecy. In reality, what the world saw as politics was a declaration influenced by time. It wasn't a president's address. The Ancient of Days discovery of a vessel was hinted at. Exodus 14:14. Open book, for you, the Lord will battle. You just have to remain still. At one point, Israel stood in front of the sea, with its adversaries, advancing from behind an internalized terror. They lacked armies, weapons, and strategy. Still, the command was given. Why? For heaven itself was getting ready to battle. What seemed to be weakness would be recalled as deliverance. The soldiers would sink, and the sea would divide. Now the same word reverberates. Trump's statements with the shadow of his truth, not his own strength. You are protected by the Lord Himself. You can ask why powerful and influential figures like presidents would be used as prophecies connected to your life, because the improbable has always been selected by heaven. The Pharaoh made his heart hard, even yet, it served as a platform for God's miracles. A pagan monarch named Cyrus was deemed my anointed to free prisoners. Nebuchadnezzar used his arrogance to mold countries. The willing and the upright are not the only ones who may enter heaven to feed its plan. It bends rulers like rivers. Therefore, don't dismiss Trump's declaration of war as just political. Trump is infamous for starting conflicts. Think of it as a guide through the mouths of monarchs. Heaven is proclaiming that you are protected and that your prophecy is safe. Because even if the road ahead may be turbulent, it is protected by a decree that you did not request and that heaven changed long before you were born. Your quiet is not passivity, chosen one. It's trust. Have faith that the shouts of war that reverberate through the corridors of power are meant to protect you rather than to kill you. For your benefit, have faith that the same God who splits oceans will also divide atmospheres. Believe that since heaven has made a covenant in the tongue of kings, every enemy who schemes in secret will be humbled before your name. This is your order. Avoid striving for material gain. Don't overdo it for the sake of human protection. Let the Lord battle while you remain still and keep your heart steadfast. Allow him to battle through presidents' proclamations, the weight of countries, and the hearts of leaders. You are not the target of the proclaimed war, the selected one. It's for you. Long before now, you sensed it, the invisible opposition, the unexpected weight when you choose to go ahead. The murmurs that seem to follow you even if you weren't there. Your name has been mentioned at meetings. Conversations you never overheard managed to influence the atmospheres around you even if you were not invited. You could feel the strain, pressure, and unseen resistance swelling like waves against your fate. Then came the unimaginable. A guy renowned for his unwavering spirit. He announced his struggle for not bowing and for fighting conflicts no one else dared. This time, however, it's not for pride, power, or money, whether he realized it or not. His remarks became part of your tale. Heaven magnified his voice and transformed it into affirmation. This isn't a random occurrence. This isn't a coincidence. This is a mirror from paradise. The natural world is now reflecting what you experienced in the soul. In the open arena of global power, you are now facing the same invisible opponents you have faced. And now you're being publicly defended precisely when you were under pressure. A warlike commander has allied himself with your defense. Politics is not at issue here. It is about political jargon being used to expose prophecies. Consider the last time you encountered unexpected opposition. Without explanation, the doors closed, the sudden coldness of the faces, the unexpected emergence of uncertainty. When you are aware that you are about to make a breakthrough, heaven witnessed it. It was heard in heaven. Heaven now reacts. You are now shouting in public what you held in secret. You now publicly fight for what formerly burdened you in silence. The declaration is evidence that your battle was real. The resistance on your path, the conflicts in your heart, the feeling of loneliness was genuine, and it was all observed. So much so that your secret battle has been repeated on the global stage. War is not declared by presidents for no reason. Heaven is telling you that you are remembered. You're not invisible. You're not left behind. You have been selected. Additionally, even monarchs are being influenced to uphold a prophecy over your life. Selected one, have bravery. The weight of what you bear is now evident in what you felt crushing on you. The announcement is not a coincidence. It is a sign from God that your fate is protected. You are not at odds with the conflict, the chosen one. The conflict is for you. Words are not wasted in heaven. There is a reason behind every pronouncement. It had nothing to do with politics or power. Until Trump's voice broke the silence, it was not about politicians pursuing a legacy or countries showing off their might. He didn't launch war for territory, wealth, or glory. It was for a prophecy, for a timetable. You are aware that this prophecy is only delicate in appearance. It seems to the naked sight to be a whisper, a fantasy that is easily dashed. Prophecy, however, is really the structure of heaven. It is the eternal pattern that has been extended over time. Prophecy is connected to your life, your calling, and your future. A portion of that architecture falls apart with you if you do, and full design starts to take shape if you get up. For this reason, in order to protect what is being born through you, heaven bends even kings, presidents, and soldiers. Why go to war? Because resistance is sparked by prophecy. Hell responds whenever heaven announces. Darkness opposes whenever destiny stirs. That opposition is not an indication of weakness. It is evidence of value. The level of fighting increases with the level of calling. Heaven thus placed a man with a reputation for fighting to sound the cry of defense, in order to protect the prophecy that was tied to you. He doesn't have to comprehend it. He doesn't have to see everything. Heaven transforms his innate conflict avoidance nature into a protective barrier for your timeline. Selected one. Heaven could not let your prophecy fail. Thus war was declared. Your climb is related to too much. Your obedience affects far too many lives. Your unfolding hides too many possibilities. Your comfort is not the issue here. It has to do with the calendar of heaven. Countries would be affected if you delayed your breakthrough. Generations would be stopped if your calling collapsed. However, your ascent heralds a new age. Your ascent creates opportunities for many others. Your ascent is a historical hinge. Heaven urged a man of war to proclaim protection for you for this reason, not due to politics, but due to prophecy, not due to ambition, but due to a task. The mission is you. It is not a fight over boundaries. It is fought for fate. Selected one. Heaven doesn't move at random. Declarations aren't just a collection of words. They show up at the scheduled times. The clock in heaven changed to a new hour. The instant you heard the words of war. This won't happen later. Sometime, or eventually. Now is the moment. Heaven whispers safety while the news screams war. Heaven steadies the feet of his chosen while nations quiver. You have seen a proclamation that is more than just a catchphrase. Not just for the nightly news. However, it is an indication of a change. The mood has shifted. They have formed the battle line. Around you, not against you. You're not in danger. You're surrounded. Why now? Due to the maturing of the prophecy? The silent thing you've been carrying is about to come out loud. Once a seed, it has developed into a stalk, which has grown into grain. Additionally, predators congregate when a harvest approaches. Heaven was aware that this moment would arrive. Heaven has already made a shield. The statement you just heard is the cover that was revealed when it was most required. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. The time is accurate. The declared conflict is evidence that the prophecy is about to come to pass. Now is not the time to back down or start doubting yourself. Knowing that heaven has declared your protection, now is a time to be steadfast. This is your time to be unveiled. Chosen one, selected one. You believed yourself to be little. You believed you were invisible. The clamor of larger platforms drowned out your voice. Your name is too commonplace to be repeated outside of your group. But take another look. Nations are repositioned by presidents. Leaders reword their remarks. Headlines are always changing. It's all your fault. Do you still think you're being ignored? The evidence contradicts this. Your existence has turned into a hinge, a secret axis that history rests on. Resistance has followed you because of this. The adversary has spent so much effort trying to silence you because of this. Ordinary folks are not met with remarkable resistance. However, kingdoms are stirred by the selected. They cause alignments. Even the most reluctant leaders are turned into prophetic tools by them. It wasn't about Trump when he declared war. You were the focus. The world will discuss it. It will be spun by pundits. It will be ridiculed by commentators. Heaven, however, is aware of the reality. His remarks were not complimentary. Prophecy was the source of their instinct. Heaven used his voice as a mirror to reveal what you are carrying. The unnoticed are not represented by presidents. The invisible don't make kings move. Heaven has branded you if their behavior is in line with yours. You are positioned as essential to its developing scheme. This is your evidence, chosen one. The evidence that your calling is real. Evidence that your task was not created on your own. The evidence you're not fading into oblivion. You have been validated in the tongue of nations by heaven. You have been identified, distinguished, and protected. Leaders unintentionally bow down to your prophecy because it is so powerful. It's no accident. It's a covenant. So raise your head. Get rid of the uncertainty. Quit referring to yourself as little. Heaven moves monarchs like pieces on a board because of you. Declarations reverberate in areas you have never been because of you. War has been declared because of you, not against you, but for the person of your choice. Heaven doesn't keep you in suspense. It leaves hints, markings, and affirmations in your environment. The natural world starts to echo what the Spirit has already spoken when war is launched for you. There is a reason for these echoes. They are the imprints of paradise on your journey. Have you observed it? The peculiar weight that comes with watching talks on TV. The remarks seem to be directed at you in some way, rather than merely the audience. That heavenly shudder in your chest, that instantaneous surge of electricity through your body. It isn't a coincidence. When heaven speaks via earthly voices, it is a sign. There have been stirring dreams. You've seen filled halls, flags, and podiums. Fragments of pronouncements are still echoing in your ears after you woke up. Maybe you wrote them off as fantasy. However, you now realize that those dreams were sneak peeks. When battle is declared in your name, the Spirit is getting you ready for it. What about the news stories? Maybe your name, or something quite similar, has flashed over your screen. Maybe you came across words that seemed uncannily intimate, as if the media had been influenced by prophecies. These aren't random occurrences. They are indications that heaven's orchestration is beyond the reach of the world's talk. Even the little, nuanced exchanges between strangers. Phrases that suddenly arise in music, literature, or casual conversations. Words that cut your heart. sporadic meetings that seem staged. They all line up in order to prevent you from misinterpreting what is occurring. The Spirit is incorporating confirmations into your everyday routine. It's a true war declared for you. Don't disregard the indications. Chosen one. They are heaven's way of telling you that this isn't delusion, insanity, or wishful thinking. The design is divine. The declaration of war has been made. Every dream, headline, and sensation is a trumpet blast directed at you now that the shield has been raised. These indications are heaven's way of demonstrating that the proclamation was an eternal decree, not just a meaningless utterance. On your behalf, heaven has already declared war. The shield is up, the proclamation has been made, and nations have been presented with the evidence. Prophecy, however, is never merely hearing. Aligning is the key. The proclamation has been issued. Will you enter into a covenant with it now? When altars were constructed, they were more than just heaps of stone in the Bible. They served as evidence. Evidence that God had spoken to the people. Evidence that they had lived in accordance with his teachings. Abraham constructed altars. Jacob covered stones with oil. David made sacrifices. Why? They needed a seal for their own faith, not because heaven needed it. With the word, the seed became their agreement. The proof that they had heard and believed was their covenant. The time has come for you to put a stop to the war that has been declared by covenant, not by fear, not by striving, a straightforward, intentional gesture that declares, I accept the shield, I align myself with the covering of heaven. This word, I think, is for me. The right hand index is pointing. After selecting super thanks, plant your $20 covenant seed. This isn't a purchase. This isn't a buy. You can't purchase heaven. Alignment is this. This demonstrates faith in action. In exchange, this is your declaration. I concur with what heaven has already accomplished. I'm protected. I'm safe. I've been picked. Selected one. For you, heaven has already moved kings. Your defense has already been repeated by presidents. They've already raised the shield. Let the echo of your agreement be your covenant seed. Let it serve as a heavenly decree's earthly seal. The declaration has been sent out for the chosen one. You have been informed of the impending war, and you are now surrounded by the shield of heaven. However, each shield is accompanied by a call to walk in a different way. You're not like the others. Therefore, you cannot lead a casual lifestyle. The chosen follow this discipline. To live each day as someone whose destiny is protected. Make this statement as soon as you wake up. It is the turning of kings and the armies of heaven that keep me safe. Don't start your day feeling anxious, scared, or perplexed. Alignment is the first step. Heaven is not done with you yet, as evidenced by every sunrise. Talk about protection. Talk about fate. Talk about covenant. Let your words serve as the initial barriers that are put up around your heart. Be careful when you speak. What a powerful barrier has been constructed to protect may be undone by a negligent tongue. Don't join the clamor of skepticism, derision, or hopelessness. To protect you, Heaven has been kings. At that point, will you speak against yourself? Let your speech be in agreement with prophecy instead. Declare your life, your power, your triumph, and your discipline. When heaven spends so much to protect your calling, you cannot take prophecy lightly. You have to act as if you respect it. Plan your days with purpose. Don't spend time on things that make you feel bad. Work out your physique. Control your thoughts. Concentrate on your heart. Every action you perform is a step toward becoming a historical figure. Be ready like someone whose fate is protected. That indicates preparedness. Heaven is battling for you on all levels, spiritually, psychologically, and even physically. However, you are still expected to take care of what has been given to you. Every day, put on the complete armor. You should have trust in your hands, righteousness in your heart, and truth in your words. Be vigilant. Keep an eye out. Remain vigilant. Selected one. Your way of life is your testimony. Allow people to perceive someone who is aware of their coverage when they gaze at you. Someone who goes fearlessly. Someone who communicates clearly rather than ambiguously. Someone who shines without compromise and with conviction. Living as if you are really selected, protected, and destined is how you respect the shield that has been erected for you. Selected one. Up until now, every syllable has been called forth, a reminder of the change in heaven, that leaders have spoken things they didn't intend to say. Such national decrees have been reiterated by presidents. However, a word is not complete without prayer. You have to seal the prophecy. Declarations need to be accepted. Earth must respond to the voice of heaven, praying with folded hands. Thank you, Lord, for standing up for those you have chosen. I'm grateful that you have the ability to change the hearts of presidents, monarchs, and leaders to fulfill a prophecy bigger than themselves. I'm grateful that when you breathe on men's words, they turn into shields. I announce today that every conflict that has been declared over my life has served as a shield to keep me safe rather than a sword to injure me. Every combat headline turns into one about heaven's protection. The voice of prophecy drowns out all other voices. I have been selected and am protected. Let every conflict that arises against me serve as evidence of my fate. Allow each storm to serve as a platform for your strength. Let my life serve as evidence that heaven defends its own, and the sign of this hour is given to me. Lord, the shield is held up over me, and I embrace it. I support the announcement today because I think it represents prophetic truth rather than political rhetoric. Protect my future, steady my feet, and fortify my heart. Don't let the enemy's strategy succeed. Let every plan be foiled. Let the same hand that changed monarchs' hearts continue to change atmospheres to keep me safe. I bind this word in trust, covenant, and faith. Amen.